Alright everyone, welcome back to more Umineko. We are currently back at Rokenjima with I guess you can say, the reunion between both Angie and Kasumi again, which we all saw coming. It was going to happen eventually, and now it's here. And now we're about to see what currently happens from here on in between the two, and if anything else, I hope you all continue to enjoy. Thank you again for all the love and support, and let's do this. Alright everyone, welcome back again.
あんたたちちょいとお茶をしてやりなさいな。
お任せを。口の利き方も知らねえクソガキが。少し勉強させてやるぜ。
The black suits dashed up to me, violently grabbed me by the collar, and dragged me down.
私が一服終えるまでに適当に。かわいいメイに、ちょいと身の程を教えてあげなさい。
Sumidera Kasumi. She was a pitiable person to think of it. To the outside world, the women of the Sumidera family were trained to be in a position to support and defer to the men in the prominent positions. But in actuality, strong leadership was demanded of them so that they could manage all of the people under them. The role demanded of them was that of a female commander. Taking charge of the Sumidera family with all of its proud history required an extraordinary level of commanding presence. It was unimaginably a heavy responsibility. Normally, this would have been demanded of Kirie. Kirie had undergone that harsh training, and Kasumi, as the younger sister, should have been able to just take it easy. No, in fact, she had lived like a lazy, selfish, and affluent princess, sneering at Kirie, who had been given the heavy responsibility. However, Kirie was suddenly disinherited. She had refused the fiancé her parents had arranged and had gotten pregnant by her lover, Ushiyamiya Rudolph. From the Sumidera family's perspective, even though the Ushiyamiya family held a vast fortune, it was a family which had already collapsed, a family not in their league. And to become not even a legal wife, but a lover to the second son of that family. Normally no one would be shown mercy for something so dishonorable, not even the daughter of the main family. They would wrap her up in a mat, stand the pole on the end, and throw her either into the Pacific Ocean if the pole fell to the right or the Sea of Japan if it fell to the left. But Kirie's punishment was nothing but disinheritance, an unbelievably lenient decision. After that, the Sumidera family began receiving preferential treatment from a section of the Ushiyamiya group. There must have been some kind of backroom deal. In other words, Kirie took advantage of the Ushiyamiya family's financial support to lead the Sumidera family openly. Kasumi watched it happen in shock. No, she even disparaged her dishonorable sister as a loser. But eventually, she learned that the heavy responsibilities Kirie had borne would be passed on to her. And then, for the first time, she realized that she had been outwitted.
あんたの母親のせいで、私の人生はめちゃめちゃにされたわ。
You're taking it easy until then, so... yeah, tough.
いいえ、一度殺されたと言ってもいい。あの日に私は一度殺されて、地獄のような日々に突き落とされたのよ。
それまで人生舐めてきたツケじゃない。
口の減らねえ小娘だぜ。うら!
The black suit punched me in the gut and I doubled over. But I was quickly grabbed by the collar and made to stand up again. As she continued to cold-heartedly look down upon Angie, Kasumi blew out smoke. The hard days after Kirie left were floating through her mind. Until then, she had been allowed to be simply a rich young lady, unrestrained and unaffected. Only Kirie, the older sister, had been strictly trained, and she, the younger sister, had been able to live as nothing more than a princess. Then, suddenly, everything was turned over to such a degree that her life tumbled and crashed.
私の人生も、生活も、生き方も、何もかもを奪われたわ。
Oh no, your lazy and carefree life was stolen from you. Poor you.
事情を知らない親類からは、姉さんの不名誉を理由に、どれだけ蔑まれたことか。呪ったわ。あなたのお母さんを血を吐くほどに呪ったわよ。
そりゃ嬉しいわ。これからもよろしく。
A kick landed in Angie's side as she lay prostrate on the ground. Angie didn't stand up again. So she continued to lie there like a caterpillar, getting kicked every time she spoke up.
姉さんを後ろ宮グループのパーティーで見かけたわ。あいつ、旦那と一緒でとても幸せそうに笑ってやがったわ。
That is a terrible face.
私に全部押し付けて、自分だけ幸せに。
だから何？私に八つ当たりすると、どうあんたが幸せになるってわけ？私に八つ当たりすると、時間が巻き戻って、歴史が変わったりしてくれるわけ。
あんた、さっき言ったわね。私の人生はいつ始まるのって。いくら恨んでも八つ当たりしても、時間を巻き戻すことなんてできない。じゃあ私は死ぬまでこうして、死んでもなお姉さんを恨み続けて？冗談じゃないわ。いつまで私は姉さんの亡霊に苛まれてなきゃならないのよ。だから考えたのよ。これを成し遂げたら、すべての恨みを忘れて、やり直せるってね。
Angela was about to respond to this with another bitter comment, but stopped, because she would be kicked again if she responded. Even if Kasumi didn't say any more, it wasn't difficult to imagine what she meant. Kasumi was thinking of bringing an end to her hatred of Kirei by taking revenge against her daughter, Angie. Talking about pushing your problems on other people.
ほら、立ちなさいよ。そんなにこの島が大好きなら、しっかり深く埋めてあげるわよ。その若さで死にたくないでしょ？母が迷惑をかけてすみませんでした、とか、言ってみたくはならない？
誰が言うもんか。エンジ様、ダメ！こいつらを挑発しちゃダメです！ここは表向きだけでも、調子を合わせて時間を稼ぐべきです！くだらないプライドは、燃えないゴミの火に出しとけって、よく言うわね。天草さんは、天草さんが来てくれれば、きっと、ダメ！あいつの姿は見えないわ。エンジ様のバカ！どうして天草を置いてきたんです？
I don't need you to tell me that, Mamon. I'm already right in the middle of regretting it. I walked a long way to get here. The forest is very thick. There's no way that the disturbance here will reach the boat. As Kasumi took her sweet time smoking that single cigarette down to the filter, I was continuously laid into the black suits however they deemed fit. The moment I grabbed my head to protect it, the top of my head was kicked by someone at a bad angle and my head filled with stars. This feeling of stars flickering in a world twisted with gray was one I knew well. My life was very similar to the one Sumadera Kasumi led. Because I was tormented constantly with all kinds of bullying under the guise of education and training to make me a worthy successor to the Ushiramiya family. Yes, having the inside of my head filled with stars like this is a feeling I know well. When being reprimanded for some error in manners I seemed to have made, the lecture always turned to whether I was fitting to be the successor to the Ushiramiya family or not. On and on about the honor of the Ushiramiya family and how important it was. By the time her rant reached that point, I would forget what mistake I was being blamed for in the first place. Well, actually, you can blame this woman over here, Ava, for putting you in that school, and probably for talking to some of the excuse me, for talking to some of the people there to mess with you. No, actually it was the same way for Aunt Ava too. After all, sometimes she would ask herself, what was I saying again? But in the end, she wouldn't be able to remember and would say something like,
私が怒っているということは、きっとエンジェが何か悪いことをしたのだろう。なら、その悪いことが問題なのであって、何をしたかなんて今更思い出せなくても問題ない。
There'd be some ridiculous reasoning like that, and then she would continue punishing me. Yes, Aunt Ava's punishments weren't something that would continue until I learned something or acknowledged my mistake or apologized. They would continue until Aunt Ava wanted to stop. So even this violence was a bit nostalgic in a way that made me want to vomit. I opened my eyes, and oh, look, there's Aunt Ava. Right next to Kasumi, who was smoking her cigarette. I could see Aunt Ava, the two of them looking almost as though they were laughing at me together. When I think about it, even Aunt Ava's life might be worthy of sympathy. The responsibilities and pressures of members of the Ushimiya family, which she had so often mentioned to me, were all things that she herself had suffered, because people cannot voice insults that they had never been subjected to themselves. It was probably the same way for Aunt Rosa as well. As the youngest child of the glorious Ushimiya family, she must have gone through many tough times. So just as Aunt Ava acted towards me, and just as Sumadera Kasumi is acting right now, Aunt Rosa must also have been the same. People push the suffering they have been made to bear onto other people. Otherwise, they can never escape from it. So on and on in eternity and perpetuity, the chain of suffering and sadness never ends. This is the reason Maria Nechan's magic was so incredible. With her magic, she did not have to bear the suffering from Aunt Rosa. That pain was probably pushed onto her. Its weight probably tormented her. But Nechan did not carry that burden on her own shoulders. She exercised it and filled her world with happiness. So I'm sure that even if Maria Nechan had had children in the future, she would never have pushed the suffering forced down through the generations onto them. You know, I wouldn't go that far. She's a little messed in the head too. So if she does have kids and we're able to see it, I would like to see how she would treat them. The chain of suffering and sadness, which had been inherited by and forced upon each generation for who knows how long, was by Maria Nechan's magic broken.
Nani? 私に何か文句でもあるの?
In the past, I would have snapped back and canceled out her hatred with hatred of my own. No, I canceled out nothing. The weight of that which had been forced onto her bears down hard on my shoulders as well. After all, even now, I hate her. So, now that I knew of magic, I looked at the human called Ushimiya Eva again. What I could see through to was the sad form of a human, no different from me, who had lost her family and who bore deep wounds in her heart. You know, she's saying magic, but it's more like she's empathizing and sympathizing with her. I wouldn't call that magic, unless she's able to see into the past and see how they were treated. Unable to withstand the pain of that torn heart, she was doing nothing except howling with a sad voice like a lion crying in pain, like a child. It turns out Ushimiya Eva was also a person deserving of compassion. She had needed someone to understand the difficulties and pain of her childhood days, and she too, as the only survivor of a Kenjima incident, who was faced with the inquisitive eyes of all society, who was publicly slandered, who had salt continually rubbed into her wounds, had needed someone's compassion. Yeah, did she have her husband for that? Her son? Yes, she lost him, but I'm just saying, she had him. In order to let her forget her pain and sorrow for at least a moment, the Black Witch, the very same that possessed Aunt Rosa, taught her magic. It was the same magic of anger and sadness that Beatrice had taught Maria Nechan when she was mourning for Sakutaro after he was torn apart. That same magic that witch had surely dwelled inside Aunt Rosa too. So I was wrong to hate Ushimiya Eva. Perhaps. I alone was supposed to have become her ally. The only person in the world who could understand her. What did I say to her when I was young, when she returned alive all alone? Could it be that the way I acted towards her was as if she had come back by herself after killing all my family? I can't believe it. Aunt Ava, who throughout my life had never been more than an object of a synonym for hatred, is turning into a human who I can understand. And so, I looked right next to Aunt Ava at the form of the Black Witch who taught her the black magic. Aunt Ava was crying. It was only natural. Not only did she have no one who would understand her pain of having lost her husband and son all at once, but even I, her only relative, insulted her, saying, "Give me back my mom and dad." I can make the excuse that it was the mercilessness of a youth, but to her at the time, that was probably cruel enough to sever her heart's last thread. In the following days, the talk shows and magazines publicly slandered her. The truth of her late husband's business and character, and even those about her beloved son, were denied. She no longer had anything left. She could do nothing but cry and howl, trying to forget the pain and sadness for just a few moments, because only while howling could she feel the slightest bit of release. And so, the Black Witch taught her how to howl. The one I hated was the Black Witch. The black magic probably did release her from that suffering for just a short time. However, it would never lift that weight from her shoulders. To the contrary, it would force that weight on further victims, filling the world with the weight of hatred. If Aunt Ava was to have a true witch nearby, one who knew of white magic, wasn't that supposed to be me? I had learned that magic to create happiness from Maria Onechan. If I could have saved her with that magic, might we not have built up a future with a completely different relationship? All this time, I've hated Aunt Ava, so I never noticed the Black Witch beside her. Without love, it couldn't be seen. I didn't have any love for her. So now finally, I'll glare at the Black Witch, the one I truly should hate. Now, welcome back. It's been a while.
私のことが見えるの？見えるわ。私が憎むべきはエヴァおばさんじゃなかった。あんたよ。すごいじゃない。人間の分際で魔女の私が見えるなんてね。それで？その目つきは何だと言いたいわけ？私が憎い？憎い？ええ、憎いわ。でも、少し違う。ただ、悲しく思える。悲しい？何言ってんの？いいじゃない、怒れば。思いっきり憎んじゃえば？憎まないわ。あんたを憎むことは、エヴァおばさんの憎しみをそのまま受け継ぐだけ。私は憎しみを断ち切る。エヴァおばさんの苦しみを受け止め、それを払って捨てるの。何悟ったようなこと言ってるわけ？こいつ頭大丈夫？っていうか、へそでも噛んで死んじゃえば？あんたら、もっともっと蹴ってやりなさい。顔とかはダメよ。気の毒な顔がマシになっちゃったらつまんないから。
The Black Witch persistently kicked my stomach and back, as though they had been ordered to by the Black Witch.
やれやれ。答えないね。私をじーっと見ちゃって。私が憎い。憎いでしょ？私もよ。
Katsumi sneered at me, but for some reason I had the feeling that she was crying behind that expression. She's had a life just as unfair as mine forced upon her, and the pain of that never ever heals. The sad lion continues to howl, gasping in pain from the thorn he can't get out.
ほら、スマデラかすみ、見てごらんなさい。かつてのあんたがそこにいるわ。気分が晴れるでしょう。かつてそこにいたあなたが、今度はこっち側にいるのよ。愉快でしょう。立場が逆になるのは。
本当に愉快だわ。なんでそんな顔ができるのよ、エンジェ。泣きなさいよ。泣きたいんでしょ？
ってる。泣かせちゃいなさいって。あの時のあんたは泣かされちゃったじゃない。だからこいつも泣かせてやりなさいよ。エンジェもいいのよ。泣いちゃえば
泣きなさいよ、エンジェ。あんたの泣き顔が見たいのよ。泣いて、ごめんなさい、かすみおばさんって言ってごらんなさいよ。
その言葉を言わせるのよ。あの言葉、辛いでしょ？自分のせいじゃないことを謝らせられるのって本当に辛かったでしょ？同じ思いをさせてやるのよ。そうすることであなたの痛みは和らげることができるの。そうよ。それでいいのよ。もっと自分に素直になりなさい。もっともっといっぱいに自分の感情を吐き出しちゃえば。
The Black Witch stirred Kasumi up, and Kasumi began to give herself over to that dark emotion. She was doing nothing more than turning her deep sadness into cheap booze and forcing it down, trying to forget for just a brief moment. The words Kasumi insulted me with were themselves sad, and I couldn't forgive the Black Witch for taking advantage of Kasumi's sadness. I had gotten limp on the ground, which seemed to have sapped the black suits of their enthusiasm for kicking. Or maybe the kickers had finally gotten tired too. Kasumi hadn't ordered them to stop, but at some point the violence had halted. However, I was reflected in Kasumi's eyes, and they were burning me with flames of hatred. She had been tempted by the witch into doing that in order to relieve her own pain.
スマデラかすみ？まだよ。まだまだ踏みにじりなさい。あなたの人生はこんなほんのちょっとの乱暴で許せるの？
許せないわよ。まだこれくらいでは許せないんだから。
でしょ？許せるわけがない。もっとよ。もっと憎悪の炎を。憎しみの炎でしかあなたは暖を取れないの。怒りと悲しみの雪原で凍えるあなたを温められる炎は憎しみだけなのよ。ほら言って。叫んで。憎しみの方向で自分を燃やし尽くしちゃえば。
後ろ宮エンジェー！あんたを憎まなくちゃ、私は生きてられないの。
スマデラかすみ、あの花束を。これ、死んだ家族への花でしょ？エンジェー。
The Black Witch grinned at me unpleasantly and used her chin to signal Kasumi to pick them up. Kasumi picked up the flowers I was going to offer, brought them all the way over to me, dropped them in front of me, and made a show of trampling them. Her expression was filled with hatred, and a frantic quality that simple hatred couldn't explain. It was as if trampling them over and over again was the only way to prevent the sadness inside her from reaching the bursting point. So the sound of her trampling was downright sad.
あら、この程度じゃ答えない？ならこっちは答えるかしら。スマデラかすみ、こっちを使いなさい。ダメ。それは。
The object the Black Witch pointed at was Maria Onechan's grimoire. Kasumi also noticed it and picked up that book, which was heavier than it looked.
なにこれ。
読んじゃえば。お腹がよじれちゃうかもね。
Kasumi opened the grimoire, skimmed over the content and snorted derisively.
返して。それはお姉ちゃんの。
Of course, my hand couldn't reach. My stomach was once again kicked by the black suits and I curled up on the ground.
ほらね。この本は、エンジェにとっての大切なものでしょ？大切なものをけなしてやりなさい。こういう子には、殴る蹴るよりもそっちの方が効くんだから。あなたがそれを一番よく知っているでしょ？
Kasumi's face twisted for an instant as though remembering something painful, but that quickly disappeared, changing into a scornful smile directed towards me.
なーにこの気持ち悪い本。あんたが書いたの？
やめて。返して見てよ、あの顔。もっとけなしてやりなさい。貶としめてやりなさい。尊厳を踏みにじられる苦痛を教えてやるのよ。そうすることでしかあなたの苦痛は和らがないの。
何これ、恥ずかしい本。少女の時代に多少は占いの真似事に興味を持つこともあるけれど、これはちょっと行き過ぎじゃない？やだ、魔法だって。あんた、あれでしょ。アニメとかのなんとかなんとかって呪文を言いながら魔女に変身するやつ。ああいうの好きなんでしょ。痛々しいわ。
Cackling Kasumi opened to a random page and showed it to the black suits. The black suits looked too and guffawed. That laughter wouldn't wound me, but I couldn't forgive it. After all, that laughter was ridiculing Maria Onechan. I don't hate Kasumi. For exploiting Kasumi's appealing anger and sadness, I cannot forgive the Black Witch. That Black Witch ate into Aunt Ava, Sumadera Kasumi, and Aunt Rosa, tormenting them for an eternity without letting their wounds be healed. I can't forgive her. I can't forgive the Black Witch.
何これ？傑作！お空から飴玉を降らせる魔法ですって？何々？お日様で清めたお水にお砂糖を溶いて、魔法の杖を浸して呪文を。何これ？痛い！
The black suits also rolled around guffawing. Then, grinning, the Black Witch whispered something into Kasumi's ear. Then, after glaring at me with a grin, Kasumi took the page. She tore it, right? Kasumi grabbed hold of the page, tore it out, crumpled it up, and threw it away.
ひどいよ。それは、マリアの魔法。あら、そうなの？それはお気の毒。
As important as that book was, her biggest mistake was actually showing reaction to any of the personal belongings that what's-her-face took right now. Kasumi. Like, now it's just giving her more reason to egg her on. It was one of the magics to summon happiness that Maria had made with Sakutaro. Anyone knows that making sugar water, coloring it with plants, and leaving it by the window isn't going to make candy rain from the sky. But after repeating that every day, one time when she got back from school, she found several pieces of candy scattered around that place. How happy must that miracle have made Maria Onechan? What good care she must have taken of those candies, savoring them during her nights all alone with Sakutaro to distract herself from her loneliness. That magic which Onechan had created was torn out, thrown away, and disappeared. The entire miracle of happiness created by that magic she tore out and threw away.
これも傑作だわ。晩ご飯をクリームコロッケにする魔法。次は何？ピーマンが美味しく食べられる魔法？
Well, bell peppers already taste nice as they are, but okay.
これも生かすわ。バカバカしい。
Alright guys, I'm going to end it here for today. Thank you all for watching. we are currently seeing right now Sumidera Kasumi being manipulated by Ava Beatrice again, which was quite surprising to see her, but not all that unwelcome because, well, we're kind of in their homeland right now, so anything's possible at the moment. So if anything else, we'll continue on in the next one. Thank you all for watching.